And actually, we have an email to start the show with. Let's go ahead and put that up. All right, the email says, I was rear-ended a few days ago. The other driver's insurance wants to settle my injury portion, quote, as soon as you're feeling better, end quote. I hit my head quite sharply and was dazed and in shock. The concussion has been uncomfortable and the whiplash is now becoming worse. Do I need legal counsel for this? And that is from Sandra. Brian, does Sandra need legal counsel?
I would say about 98 or 99% of the time, if you are injured in a car wreck, it's better to talk to a lawyer for a lot of reasons. Number one, if you're offered money from the at-fault party's insurance company, you might have additional funds on your policy and you could jeopardize that by not notifying them. But there is about 13 things that could potentially get you into trouble, whether it's paying back your health insurance, whether it's paying back Medicare, whether it's not being or settling with a party you don't realize has additional insurance. And most of the time, if you're injured, it's bad to settle right away anyways, because you don't know the extent of your injuries, you don't know your medical bills, you don't know if you're going to have any residual effects, you don't know if you're going to have ongoing medical treatment. So insurance companies often like to, make a quick settlement offer, and it's their obligation. They are supposed to try and resolve a case to protect the at-fault party, but there's just so many potential problems if you settle your case right away, especially without, talking with a lawyer who can tell you about all the potential issues you have.
Right. And one of the things, some people have health insurance, some people don't have health insurance. Some people are protected by Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE if you're in the military, VA if you're retired, and some people don't have those benefits. And one of the biggest things that I've always seen, we talk about PIP insurance a lot, personal injury protection, which is a medical benefit that is attached to your auto policy. In the state of Florida, a lot of people might have heard us being referred to as a no-fault state. When they say no fault, what they're referring to is the PIP insurance. They call it no fault because it is available to you if you're involved in a wreck, whether the wreck was your fault, somebody else's fault, or nobody's fault. Think of a situation, maybe you hit a deer or something just freaky happened, you hydroplaned and ran off the road and you got hurt. You have that PIP benefit available to you, and it's a $10,000 medical benefit, but it only covers 80% of your medical expenses. And so, Brian, I think you were kind of alluding to this. Think of the situation where you had an event like that. You go to the hospital, you do not have health insurance, but you do have that PIP benefit. You go, you have several CT scans done. They say, you need to follow up with an orthopedic, surgeon. You've got something wrong with your spine. PIP will pay 80% of that bill, up to $10,000, but then the 20% that isn't covered comes out of your pocket, and it's in that window of time that insurance companies say, I'll give you $2,000. I'll give you $3,000. And then you find out 45, 60 days later that
your bills that are outstanding are 3, 4, 5 times whatever you settled for.
More than what you settled for. And so now you settled the case, you accepted the cash, but you have no recourse, and your bills are actually higher than what you thought they were. And it's kind of sneaky like that.
And again, it's a double-edged sword. The insurance company has a duty to protect their insured who causes the wreck. So they're not necessarily doing anything wrong on behalf of their insured, but if you're not fully knowledgeable about your out-of-pocket expenses, your injuries, your medical treatment, you're making a decision with really imperfect information at that point in time. Where the insurance company, they see these types of cases all the time. They know it can potentially get worse for you. It might get better. But it really just depends. But most of the time, if I have a client who is in a car, or if I meet with somebody who's in a car wreck, they go get to urgent care and they get checked out, but 2-3 days later, they're fine, they have no residual issues. I'll walk them through the process with health insurance, car insurance, and what they need to do, but there's not much a lawyer does. If you are in my opinion, if you see a doctor one time and you are fine, there's not much really we're gonna add negotiating the claim.
Right.
But if you're having issues 3-4 days later, a week later, and you need additional medical treatment, it is most beneficial to have a lawyer in those situations.
Right, especially if you're one of those folks. I mentioned earlier talking about health insurance and TRICARE and VA and Medicare. There are actually state laws and federal laws that require you, if you accept a settlement or if you make a recovery against an at-fault party from a car wreck, if you make a recovery, there are actually statutes both at the federal and state level that say you are required to reimburse your health insurance provider at least a percentage of what they may have paid in benefits. And so the way it typically breaks down is let's use Medicare as an example. Somebody's involved in a wreck. They get their $10,000 in PIP benefits. They go to the hospital. They're referred to physical therapy. That doesn't work. They end up at pain management. They've got a pretty hefty amount of bills. After their PIP runs out, they use Medicare to pay for their medical expenses. And then the insurance company comes along and says, hey, we'd like to settle the case. You settle the case. But that's not the end of it when it comes to Medicare, because at that point, what are you required to do?
Well, you have to notify Medicare that, hey, I received this settlement. Here's how much it was. If there was an attorney involved, you got to notify them of the attorney's fees and expenses. And then Medicare will send you a demand letter that says, hey, you have to pay this amount of money within 60 days for the medical treatment related to your car accident. And if you don't pay it, interest will start to accrue. And they can actually file a lawsuit against you and come and get that money. So that's just Medicare.
Right.
Like Medicaid is different, TRICARE is different, Florida Blue is different. We have ERISA plans, which we don't need to get into the weeds about, but ERISA plans are different. So there are a lot of different nuances when health insurance is involved and personal injury settlements.
Right, and I think going back to Sandra's original question about should I get a lawyer for this, these are the types of things that you actually run into that if you do not have a lawyer, you run the risk of violating a federal law or a state law or maybe even a provision in your health insurance contract that talks about reimbursement. Having an attorney helps you navigate those things so that when you do settle your case, if you do make a recovery, you can make sure that all of those liens and obligations are satisfied, because the lawyers, we're just as responsible to make sure those are taken care of if we're representing you, and we make sure you're protected in that regard. And usually, I mean, statistically, we're going to be able to get more of a recovery than somebody representing themselves would get. I think the statistic is 3 to 5 times more of a recovery having an attorney represent you on your claim than you would get if you're representing yourself.
And the other big thing is not only can we normally get more money in your pocket at the end of the day, but you understand what we're doing. We're explaining every step of the way. You understand the insurance limits or lack thereof. So it's basically making our clients knowledgeable, but also providing them a pretty good service.
Right.